Okay, hopefully we got it this time. Hopefully we are live and everything's going good. Hopefully the sound is good and everyone's here. This is only the fourth attempt to do this. So I know on the first couple of tries, there were at least 8 people that got on and were watching and watched that train wreck of a life. And for that, I apologize. And if you came back to watch this one, great. I really appreciate you being here. You have no idea. Let me move. I'm gonna move this over so I can kind of keep track of the week of the post. Chris Laskowski, hey, how you doing? Stuart Ward, my buddy Stuart, how you doing? So, what was the reason for wanting to do the live to begin with? Back in the middle of July, I got a message from a Facebook, like Facebook does. Hey, 1 year ago, blah 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 blah. And so what that was is it was saying that 1 year ago you did the In the New Digs video. And I'm like, oh my goodness, it's been a year already. I mean, it was just so surprising that the year just went so fast. And on top of that, looking at what it looked like, I mean, when I first got started, the room was so empty. I mean, it's just like, and it lacked. I mean, granted, it's supposed to look empty. It was new. It was a new space. It was new, exciting. It was new and exciting. But at the same time, it was like a blank canvas. It was there. There's just so much that could be done. But we weren't where we really needed to be because look at how bad the lighting was. We've gotten so far in that 1 year. And so I kind of wanted to talk about, what did that year encompass? Because, okay, let's going back to the beginning. Because right now we were sitting at like 449 subscribers. And there was like 196 videos, which kind of blew my 196 videos. That's, and it's been 5 years, and it all started with this guy. The very first video, we were working on building the Battlestar Galactica helmet. And after 5 years, I mean, I can see a couple of spots where it's starting to wear, because, I mean, it's been 5 years, at least 2 Wonderfests and 2 house moves. And the worst I can say that we've got going on, I could see where this was attached. There's like a seam that goes right there, and it's starting. I can see the Bondo putty. It needs some touching up, or it needs some weathering. But starting from this, we got that. And that's just this room. But some of the other things that took our time through the year. So the Battlestar Galactica, that led to doing stuff with Interfleet Broadcasting, which was one of the surprising things to me, that it's one of those things that you wanted that you didn't know you want, but once you have it, you're like, wow, you didn't realize how much fuller that your life has become, at least this portion, the model building of it had become, because I got to be a prop master, and that's fantastic. And let's see, so because one of the things we got to do is not only, so the Stranded Warrior project, it's ongoing. They're hoping to have the trailer ready by Dragon Con, which I really do wish I could go to Dragon Con, but it doesn't. Evening, Mr. Pew Pew Man. Yeah, Munchkin. Hey, what's going on, man? Missed Wonderfest this year. I kind of was looking for you, but I'm sure you've been busy as well. model building never ends. But IFB, so they needed me to build them a helmet. We had to design a logo for the new squadron. Midstream, we had to just design a second logo. We also did a couple of other things, and we also did some emblems for. I don't know if I can tell you about it or not, but check out the Stranded Warrior, and maybe you'll see some stuff there. But we got to build a Cylon dagger, and so that project wasn't just building the dagger. It turned into, well, designing and building the dagger. And then, well, I had to ship it to him, and I just didn't want to stick it in a box. So we built the box. Well, it can't just be a regular box. It had to be a significant box. And so that box is something that everyone involved with the project could sign, and it's one of those. It was kind of like the last minute motivation things for Wonderfest. It just kind of happened. You woke up and just like, hey, what? So that's something else that happened as a part of that year, that when you're in the middle of it, you really don't, because you're trying to get the project done. And I think that's the biggest thing, the difference between, because I had to kind of justify this in my head. Why do lives and videos? And the videos were for production. Let's get something built. The lives are so we can have conversations. So if you have questions, feel free to pop them into the comments, and we'll see if we can answer them. I'll try and keep track and make sure I acknowledge everyone saying hi as you pop up there. But I figure we never really get to have a conversation. We don't get to talk about modeling and the modeling process. Do you have any questions of what we're going to do? So that's why we're here. Also going to talk about maybe some of the projects we have planned for the future. But back to the year. Another thing that we had done in the year is, we worked on the Jedi holocrons, which was, it was a really good project. I love doing that. And what gets me the most about doing that project was the light is a $5 light from Five Below. I mean, it's just, it has a little remote and everything, and it just sets that off. And it's such a great thing, but it's only great when it's posed with the broken holocron. So that was a great project. And then that led into, the stand that needed to be built for it. And those were quick, very satisfying builds. But another quick and satisfying build along that year's time was fixing some of the models that came from the other house. And we had Locutus. Now, I need to start watching some of the new Star Trek stuff because I know I'm missing out. But another thing that we did in that year's space is we did the backpack, right? Our Mandalorian backpack. That was such a great run of trying to get that done, getting that last full tilt boogie on to Wonderfest. What I might not, I didn't get to show you some of the finer details of that particular build. And so hopefully this picks it up. So the picture before was it after I just got it painted, but there were times where I had it sitting in there next to the airbrush and I would be painting something else, right? And I'm just like, I need Upscale modeling. Good evening, fellow prop makers. Good evening to you as well. The thing, what I had it just sitting there. It was just sitting on the bench, right? And I'd be spray painting something else, like I'd be painting maybe one of the accent pieces or something else. And I'm like, it looks too good. It looks way too good. Because there's no way it's going to look that good if the trooper who's wearing it, well, this was Mandalorian. Yeah, because I was going to say if this was a trooper one and he's walking around like the Star Destroyer with his arm, well, he's just torturing himself. But this is Mandalorian. So Mandalorian, he's going to be out and about. He's going to be trying to go find his bounties or whatever he's doing. It's going to get wear. And so I tried to put the wear because I had this little bit of spritz of paint in the airbrush. So let's just highlight some of the pieces. And so I was practicing with the airbrush, kind of spritzing here and well, where does it look good, like around my little dials and knobbles, knobs and greebly bits. Oops, lol. Okay, but I think it really came out well, and we were so focused in Wonderfest with getting everything done, I really didn't get a chance to really show off. And you know what? I think I don't even think I took the batteries out. I think the batteries are dead. I'm pretty sure the batteries are still in there. Yeah, she's the dead. She's the dead. But this was a great build, and I just wanted to this is where the year went. This is what time to do that. Trying to find space for all this stuff is. Thank you. I'm. Upstate Scale Modeling said it looks awesome. Well, I really appreciate that. So another thing that we did during the year was we got to meet up with the guys over at Ad Astra, and so this was at the Air Combat Museum in Topeka, Kansas, and they were having their Christmas party. And I looked out, actually, going to the cruise because the food was good, the conversation was good, and the group of guys there was good. It was actually great. And I was trying to, again, it made me realize how long it's been because I wanted to get back with them in the spring, but they usually meet on a night where I'm out of town for my real job. And I can't get back over there. But it's such a diverse group of guys, and they do, there's some miniature work there, there's some armor there, there's aircraft, the whole 9 yards. And so I need to get back over there and talk to those guys again. And that kind of leads us to where we are now a little bit, because I need to be a little bit more clear. Because a couple of weeks ago, Sunday before last, I posted a picture about Model Project Sunday. And so that's the project table. And what I did was I didn't put enough context to it, right? Well, my buddy Scott had done a better post than I did, and I resent it, but people thought that these were all my projects, and these definitely are not. So, wanting to get together, we came up with Model Project Sunday. And so the plan is to meet once a month on a Sunday, because that day everyone is pretty much, you've gotten pretty much all your family stuff done, and you're kind of on your way to getting back to work on Monday. So we've carved out like 5 hours on Sunday to where we can do this. And so I'm working on Rocket. And I've had this kit for a while. And the reason I it took me a while to figure out what kit I wanted to build. So Scott up in the top corner there, in the very top, he's working on the Cornelius kit, and that's a vintage kit. He had started working on it a couple of years ago because we tried to do this a couple of years back, and for whatever reason it didn't work. So he's working on the Cornelius kit. That's a vintage kit. And then you've got below him, you've got Stewart working on the spot kit. And with the funny thing about that, it's the spot kit with the three snake heads. And what's funny is he picked it up at a vintage shop, and I had gone to that shop and I saw that kit, and I'm just like, maybe I ought to pick it up. And I'm like, I got plenty of kits. I don't need to pick that one up. Because I had one as a kid. It was one of the first kits that my parents had bought. They had bought it for me for a Christmas present. And I have no idea what happened to it. I'm sure I glued it together. I'm pretty sure I didn't paint it. And we're talking back in the 70s, I using the good testers glues in the red tube that could get you, well, happy. But I just didn't really want to. It's one of those where it triggered a memory, but I saw it there and I'm like, eh. And I called my buddy Scott and I said, hey, I ran into this, and he's like, I'll keep that in mind. And then 2 days later, here comes Stuart and said, hey, I was thrift shopping and look what I found. So it was really kind of funny that the three of us came across the same kit. Stuart, I think this is going to be his first model, and so it's going to be fun to build with him. Now in the lower left hand corner is my buddy Dan, and he is a very good model builder, and he's working on the Bondi snow speeder. So let's go back to the project table, and so this is where it started. You can see the detail at the 3 o'clock position there. You can see the pieces that he's working on, and it's going to have great detail. So we have at this table like just the gambit of beginner to seriously experienced. And I'm not talking about me being serious. I'm talking about Dan being the serious experienced one. But it was, like I said, it was inspired by the guys from Ad Astra. And it's a great idea. Because there's nothing wrong with getting together with your buddies and getting stuff done. And especially of a like mind. If somebody has a question, they can pose the question, hey, do you like this better? What glue? Blah, blah. And if you're just sitting in your basement or whatever by yourself, you don't get that instant feedback. It was just a great time. We sat back, we ate some pizza. So if you have the opportunity to do that, get with it, even if it's just one buddy, get together, sit down, and build a model, build something. So and then let me see. What else did we build? We built the Jedi Starfighter. I always say we. I built the Jedi Starfighter. Thing about the Jedi Starfighter, it was a good quick build, but I have this bad habit of when I get a model, Heath Lawson, hey everyone, hey Heath. I have this bad habit. I buy the model, and I don't even leave the parking lot. I think I've told this story before, but I typically cannot get out of the parking lot of the hobby shop without popping it open and just kind of looking at it and like, oh, hey, look at that. Ooh, look at that. Ooh, look, missiles. So, and this was actually the second Jedi Starfighter I had. I was going to build it, and I had taken some of the pieces and masked them off, and I took the droid out, and I dropped it in this room. Okay. So there is a droid somewhere in this room. I could not find it anywhere. I looked hard. And it's not it. Now, keep in mind, we have cats. So very well, the cats could have found it and batted it around, and it could be on the other end of the house by now. But right now, so when I finally got down to ready to build that model, I didn't have the droid, and I didn't want to leave open socket. So I actually had to go into Fusion 360 and pull out the calipers and do some measurements. It took maybe 3 or 4 tries to get that droid looking piece there. I think it came out pretty good. I was popping it out at the checkout. Popping it out at the checkout. I try not to pop things out at the checkout line. Like I said, I barely make it to the car. I think we are all pretty much of the same ilk. Aslan versus droids. I need more on that one. But I think it came out. Actually, what I wanted to do on that one is because I really like the way that came out. I like the diversity of the Jedi starfighters, because kind of like with the lightsabers, the lightsaber kind of reflects the moods and attitudes of the Jedi or Sith, as it were. The same goes with the Jedi starfighters, and so my Jedi would fly that. And like I said, it took me a while to get to it, and I almost lost the piece. I mean, just that one piece just kind of frustrated the heck out of me. But the thing I like about that kit is there's so many extra pieces. So because you get at least 2 different styles of those wings, and the triangle parts, they pop open and close. Those are great pieces for scratch building, because they can be solar panels, they could be aileron fins for the front of a speeder. Okay, Aslan or cat. Yes, okay, got it. We're on the same page now. Every once in a while, the cats. I've actually closed the doors off so the cats don't come through here. Not during the video, not this time. Cat hair is a whole completely different subject. Can you still get that? Can you still get that? The Jedi Starfighter? Yeah, I've seen them out there, and they're not too awful expensive. I think they run. I've seen them on eBay, and they run about $30 or so. And there were at least, I think there were 2 separate releases, because when I bought my first one, it didn't come with the pilot, and then they re-released it, and then I think they re-released 2, because one of them you got Obi-Wan in there. So I like that. Jeffrey Scott. Hello, Jeffrey. Nice to have you in. I'm gonna say this. It might be a little controversial. I think I like the Jedi Starfighter better than the X-Wing, and because of the color schemes, you can do more with it. Even Poe's Jedi Starfighter. I mean, it's a little bit different, but it is what it is. And I like in the beginning of the movie where they're flying, in formation, and they swoop down. They just look so good together. And you could almost just have a shelf of just the Jedi Starfighters, as far as I'm concerned. Let's go larger. Let's go back. Oh, wrong way. So one of the other problems that I had with the last stream that was a train wreck is 2 times it stopped right in the middle, and I'm like, YouTube, why did you do that? An internet provider? Well, if I'm being honest, I may or may not have had my NOFF button in a place which made it really easy to shut it off when I'm trying to change pages. So I moved it. So if we're still recording, this was the litmus test as to whether that was the problem or not. So since we're still recording, I'm gonna say it was me. Which there? See, there's a little heart over. Isn't it? Yes, it is a neat ship. It's a really neat. I don't know what was. It could SHI could have been anything. 3D print something for Jeffrey Scott. I need you to 3D print something for me. Hit me up. Hit me up. I'm not saying no. That could be what's going on in year 2. Seriously. So let's talk about what's going on in moving forward. Some of the things that I'm planning for year 2. So one of the things that one of the nice things about the Model Building Sunday is being able to do it with a group. But it kind of caused a problem because then you got to go, okay, what all do I need to take with me? Because my plan is to only work on that model while we're on that Sunday. And so I've talked to the other guys about, I've talked to Scott and Stuart. If you're still on, you can maybe give me the thumbs up for you. But what we're going to do is I want to only give progress reports whenever we get together. At the end of that, I'll take pictures and show where we are. That way you can kind of look like, oh, this is where they got started. Da, da, da. So the thing that I wanted to do with Rocket, all right, there's a lot going on there, all right? There's a lot, but not a lot. So you got color variations, and you've got buckles in there, and I have almost exclusively gone airbrush. I have done a lot more especially with large areas like this. I've been going to do airbrush because I want to pump up my airbrush skill. But I can't. I was gonna say I can't take my airbrush with me, but it is portable. the spray booth is portable, so I could. But that doesn't make sense. That's not very practical, not for once a month. So I decided to put myself a kit together. In the kit, I've got a little tote, which has the paints that I'm going to need. I've got an X-Acto knife in here. I've got a Sharpie in here. And I'm not carrying the box. What I might do is I was going to cut the face of the box off and throw it in here. That way I would have it for a reference. But I've always got my iPad, and we're going to go on ahead and use the iPad to look at, get photo references that way. But I've got but what all things did I need? And I ended up with this size tote. Because I ended up buying, I've got with me a clear coat. I've got 2 flat coats. I've got a black. I got brushes. I got nippers. That's supposed to fit inside here. And my plan is, this is my go-to. Once I put everything in here for the model trip, when I'm done, hopefully we'll get done in a timely fashion to where we can put the model down, it's dry, and I can come back home, set it down, and I know everything's in there. I don't have to go anywhere or pull anything out. I can pick it up and go build a model. Going and building a model at a moment's notice, because we all need to do that. The other thing with this is, since I'm going all hand brushing, it's making me really get back on my painting skill. The main reason I wanted to go, or that I had started doing airbrushing, is because regular paintbrush and you get paint strokes in there, and that just really irritated me. The coverage, I wasn't getting the coverage that I wanted, so I could adjust that without getting, if you're using a thicker paint, you're going to get brush strokes in there, and I didn't want that. But the thing and even looking at it now, you might be, I can see the orange and some of the orange underneath the brown. And my problem is I'm always looking at it like this. But most people aren't going to look at it like this. Most people are going to look at it like this. Like that. At least an arm's length away. And those little color variations are natural. Look at your jeans. your clothes. It doesn't really stay at one. So I need to it's allowing me to get out of my own head and get back to the basics. So the thing I am stressing over is Rocket himself, the face and the rings for the tail and everything. So we got that. Being that it took me 4 tries to get this live stream going, you can't say that I'm a quitter. However, I'm working on a project that I'm about ready to throw the towel in on. What I wanted for my Mandalorian, if anyone was watching The Mandalorian, one of the key things for this season was the Darksaber. And so I've got a 3D file for the Darksaber, and the person that did it, they did it based on the PLA printer. And I have a resin printer, and I like the resin print better, but like some of the dimensions were off, and so what I decided to do is I bought a blade. When it comes to building, my mindset is you got to build it. I want to build it to make it my own. So for me to buy a piece like this, a completed piece, kind of goes against my rule. But by the time I bought the polycarbonate and the LEDs and took the time to get it all machined, and then the everything that I would need to get to this state, that was time I didn't want to spend. So I'm like, okay, let me go on ahead and purchase this, and then what I'll do is I'll follow one of the tutorials for an Arduino and make a lightsaber core. That's where I'm at the point where I'm almost ready to throw in the towel. Let me finish my thought, then I'll read the thing. And so I have a Micro Center here close to me, and I went and bought, everyone was talking up the prop maker wing. Oh, it's so great, blah, blah, blah. So got a prop maker wing, got a Bluetooth board, da, 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 da. And I just having no end of trouble programming it. And I've looked and searched, and I can't figure that portion of it out. So that's where I'm frustrated. The other thing is, in order to get all that stuff to fit together, this blade would not work with the original 3D print. So what I ended up doing was going into Fusion 360 and adding my bits and greeblies to the hilt in order to make it work. So I'd gone into a couple of different iterations. So you can see that, yeah. So it's a rectangular slot. Did that fit in that one? No, it wasn't big enough. So got to go bigger. So I had another idea, like, well, maybe I can take the sides off, and then I could get it to fit like that, and then I would have something else on the sides. That didn't work. So what I ended up doing, I don't have all the pieces here, but here's I got a little tub with the rest of it. But here's what I came up with. So I've got this. I've got a round piece that sandwiches around this, right? And that slides in. Really? Spam call now? And so I think that's going to look good. And then all the electronics will go into the handle. Well, before it got broken. I torqued it a little bit too much. But it all slides in together. Oh, like that. Yeah. All nice and tidy. So I think when I'm done, that'll come out. That'll look really good. And because I had to go in and recreate some of this stuff, matching, like, this is the original. I had to match these lines. I flattened that out. The original had the, because this is what it, unmodified, this is what it looks like. So when I made the circle part, I made it to where I expanded it to where you lost that detail. So I had to put that detail back in. So this is me learning how to do stuff. I'm kind of proud of this, actually. It came out pretty good. Let's look at what we got here. So I haven't purchased a model in a long time. This is John. I spent all my prop and modeling time using the 3D printer. There's nothing wrong with that. I've got a CR10S, and that's actually CR10S printed all the parts for this kit, for this helmet. And then I bought the Creality Hallet Sky, the resin printer, and I like the resin better. It's more hazardous. I mean, there are a few more steps you got to go to. I mean, because you don't want the resin stuff getting on your skin and everything. So, you have to adopt some safety practices using the leather gloves. When you're cleaning it, I've tried using the simple green or whatever to clean it, and I don't think it doesn't clean all the resin off before you UV clear it, cure it, as well as acetone. Acetone just works so well. I mean, when you give it that acetone bath okay, let's back up a step. So when you have when you get your 3D print out of the vat, off the plate, the curing station I have will agitate it. So you can put it in the little deal and it'll agitate it. If you do it for long enough on a not as harsh chemical, you can get to that pretty residue-free surface. And there's nothing saying that you couldn't do both. You could rinse it, agitate it and rinse it and get it, because sometimes you may need to get it, like some of the inside stuff. Use your detergent and then rinse it off with water real good and get it good and clean, maybe some soap and water, and then give it an acetone bath if you want it to. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, there's nothing wrong with that. And then on top of that, you go on ahead and put it in to get it to cure. It just depends on how much time you have, how much you want, how much effort you want to put into it. And again, it's like everything else with model building. The more you put into it, the more you're going to get out of it. So back to the Darksaber. So if I just wanted, without being lit, I can go on ahead and build everything I need to for this Darksaber. And I think it would look good. And my plan was to have my backpack and have it like that over my shoulder. You could just see the hilt. I could like look, he's bad. But I would have had to do doing another holder, some kind of holder on that, and that the backpack in and of itself was a project. The other thing was pulling it over. My arm is not long enough. I could not clear it, without it sticking like at an angle, and then that just looks stupid. you know. So this is a project to complete for next year. But like I said, this Arduino thing is really frustrating me, and I'm about ready to give up on that. So the compromise is, and I just want to see the blade light up. At this point, I just want to see it light up. So I'm looking at lightsaber, DIY lightsaber cores, and I've seen a couple on there for I've seen them for as low as $35, which I don't trust. And that's a NeoPixel, so the NeoPixel technology is going to run you probably about $65 to $80 or whatever. If I get too much over $100, then I might as well just buy a lightsaber. And I've thought about even doing that, just buying a lightsaber so I would have one, because I want to have one and then I could test the blade. Now, I have built a lightsaber in the past. You know what? I'm not going to do that. Last time I grabbed something off that wall, they cut my video. I'm not doing that again. But that one, I just took a toy lightsaber and I used the electronics. And that was one of those where I soldered. This was before LED strips were available, and yeah, they weren't available, and so I ladder soldered LED strips. I think there were like 105 of them together, and then pulled them through. It was a whole ordeal. It was before the Mediocre Modeler channel, so it got done. It works okay. I do like the idea of some of these dueling sabers, but what do we got here? Thumbs up from Stuart. Okay, cool. On the keeping us updated. Nice. I'll be watching the mailbox when you finish it. Chrysalis. Wouldn't the there's a stupid hole. Let me do this. Is that gonna help me? That works better. Wouldn't the acetone melt the plastic? Maybe the PLA, possibly. I think let's do that. I've never messed with it. I don't have, but I'm not talking about using the acetone on the PLA. I'm talking about only using the acetone on the resin. It just comes out. I don't know if you can see that little bit of gloss there. With the simple green or whatever, it still feels kind of tacky sometimes. But with the acetone just gets in there and it dries everything out. I've just decided it's so much better by using the acetone. The problem with the acetone is it's not cheap. So a 1 gallon jug of acetone is going to run maybe $15, $20. Which isn't a problem, except I have the problem of forgetting to put the cap back on the acetone. Acetone evaporates really easily. So, I mean, I've gone like 2 days and like, oh, I forgot to put the cap, and what I've been doing is I'll take the pieces out to the shed or, right outside into the screen room, and I've got a little tray that I know won't, so I put the piece in there and do that, and I slosh it around, and I'm like, well, and I pull it out and let it dry. And I try not to get the acetone to splash everywhere, because for whatever reason, the big metal rectangular tins, it's harder than heck to get that acetone out of there without splashing everywhere. And so when I'm building, I'm usually doing 2 or 3 things at once anyway. And so like I'll maybe I'll rinse it out of the thing, and then like, okay, I want to go wash the acetone off, so I'll walk away, go into the bathroom, and I'm cleaning it, and look, I'm happy. Look at these pieces. That's what it is. Usually, I'm going, whoa, look at the detail, and I completely forget. 2 days later, a third of my acetone's gone. so I got to be better at that. And so I've got myself my tray, I've got my funnel, I've got there is that. At what point do you do the acetone? So you've got your support structures on there as well. So do you acetone it with the support structures on or off? And depending on the piece that you're doing, sometimes you want it held up on the tray when you're curing it. Sometimes you don't, and so sometimes some of those pieces will break. You can break those off into your rinse thing, and so I don't want all that debris in the can. So I'll have I've got my funnel, and then I'll take a shop towel, and I'll fold the shop towel down into the funnel, and I'll pour the acetone back down through the shop towel, and that catches all of my, and also once it's in there, it dries out, I can just grab it, throw it in the trash, put my cap back on, and I'm good to go. So with the resin 3D printing, you really have to have a plan. With what you're doing there, you can't just kind of. Chris, acetone does melt ABS, not PLA. Well, and I don't print in. I do not mess with the ABS. I don't think I've bought any of it. And as a matter of fact, my as much as I like my CR10S, I do like it. I really do. I've been having problems with it. I can't get my prints to adhere to the bed right. For some reason, I bought the magnetic mat, and I'll get the print started, and then somewhere along the line, either the nozzle will catch the print, or because maybe it's not level, I haven't figured it out, and it'll push it, and it'll push the whole magnetic strip. So I keep going in waves with it. I've seen. I think it's the new I think it's bamboo printer. Adam Savage was talking about it, and you can get like 2 or 3 different color filaments on there, and it's like a 3D printer dream. The downside is they had one at Micro Center, and it was only like $1,500, and I was just like, how much overtime do I have to work to get one of those? And you know what? And there's just a lot of stuff. I need to figure that out. I mean, one of the things that Adam Savage did that I didn't realize, he was talking about the filament can absorb moisture, and he built this dehumidifying cabinet, and I'm like, well, maybe that's my problem. Maybe, I mean, I live in the Midwest. Humidity is a season here, so maybe that's part of the problem. And I've thought about getting it all set up, running some clean filament through it, and just getting a brand new roll of filament and starting a simple print and see if maybe that just is a problem, because it's from like everything else is working right on it, and it'll start the print just fine, and like maybe I get an inch up, and then it goes kaplooey. So Chris Laskowski, I printed the Viper flight grip on ABS and gave it an acetone vapor bath for a few minutes. Okay. I also have, well, I had a Viper joystick. It got donated to the Stranded Warrior project. So, and from what I heard, the props helped the actors really get into the roles. I mean, and I can see, I mean, having that joystick in your hand, I mean, you're sitting in a cockpit or cockpit type thing. You've got the joystick, you've got the helmet on, you're wearing your battle jacket, the whole 9 yards. How can you not love that? How can you not feel like I'm in this movie. I'm there. I mean, and granted, they're actors, so they have that other level, in my opinion. They can put themselves in that place. But if it were me, that would definitely help me. The little videos that I've done, just it's really, really having those props really goes a long way. So I need to do another one anyway, and so I think I'm going to print when I print my next one. I think I'll do it in resin and not PLA, PLA, because it took a lot of work. Because I did get I had print lines, and it took a lot of sanding, and resin is just so not. It cuts probably about a third of your workout when it comes to sanding. It's just. But like I said, that bamboo printer or whatever, the one that they were talking about that they've got at Micro Center, I've seen some of the prints and they just look, and the way it prints differently. The CR10S builds up, where this one goes down. Like, so your print head, I think the print head is up here, and then your build plate lowers as it does the layer, so your build plate is moving and not your print head. Or at least maybe it's not working in the whatever that axis is. Sanding PLA is like sanding diamond. it's sanding. That was John, upstate model scale. I have a love-hate relationship with sanding. I mean, I have the shirt. It says the putty sand repeat, and I think that's the thing about sanding that just is so frustrating. Is you almost don't feel like you're getting anywhere, and it's so okay. Me personally, whenever I sand, I don't use sandpaper more than a 320. Maybe a 400. But I've never had to. I mean, and if I guess it all depends on where you're trying to go with it. Because at some point, when you get like 1,200 grit sandpaper and your wet sand, I mean, granted, when you get done with it, whatever you're sanding, if you've done it properly, looks great. But I'm like, do I really want to go that far? Really? And 9 times out of 10, I don't. I really don't want to go that far. But, like I said, I think this came out really, really well. Now, granted, if you look at it, you can see where it probably could have been. Okay, this is the back. Like, you can see little. Oh, he could have filled that in and sanded that a little bit on. But you ain't looking at the back. You're looking at the front. So, and even on the shelf, like I said, there's a reason I'm the mediocre modeler, not the expert modeler. Okay, I'm just saying. So Chris, the sword, the joystick, Andrew Patton's version. Okay, so I really would not mind having an actual joystick. I think that would thrill me to no end. Who was it? I don't know if it was Augie or somebody was, yes, the Interstellar Modeler. He was at I think it was the San Diego Comic-Con a couple of weeks ago or whatever. And somebody had taken some pictures of like the flying sub and stuff like that. And some real up close pictures of this stuff. And we spend all our time shooting for perfection, the concept that the vision in our mind's eye of what that thing looks like. And if you look at some of those movie props, oh man, they're crunchy. they're, but if it's something that's just going flying by, and it's on the screen for 2 or 3 seconds, and then let's talk about the fact that a lot of the stuff that we're talking about was from back in the day. We're talking 70s, 80s. There was no 4K. There was no HD TV. So you could get away with a lot in some of that older stuff. But I think I've never been one to build to perfect. Pretty much everything when I build it, I may start it trying to build it like the thing. But somewhere along the line, I decide I don't want the thing. I want the thing to be my thing. So I end up modifying. So this won't be the dark saber. This will be a saber inspired by the dark saber. If the Star Wars people want to, and then it was destroyed in the taking over Mandalore. We're not going to worry about it. So, anywho, I think that pretty much covers everything. Like I said, we got the main purpose of this live, like I said in the beginning, was that I got the email from Facebook saying you've been here a year. And I've been doing just the Mediocre modeler in and of itself for 5 years, and it just kind of blows my mind that it's been that long. And it makes you sit back and really see how far we've come and how much I appreciate. You have no idea how much just doing this live stream and having somebody show up, let alone conversation. But like I said, I want to try and do this a little bit more often. I was considering doing this also with media and more, because I went through the whole trouble of doing one of these. Hold on. I did it. I did Media and More live. Why not do that too? So, because it's all sci-fi. I love talking sci-fi. So, how will you, Jeffrey Scott, how will I know when you live stream again? I need to be better at promoting myself. That's the long and short of it. Even this live stream, because normally what I'm going to do a live stream, and what I would do, I'd just go to Facebook and say, well, I'm going to do a live stream. Well, if you go to YouTube, you can tell YouTube, hey, you're going to do a live stream, and it'll put it out. So to the people, and you can go ahead and add it to your calendar. Add me to your calendar. So that's all on me. That me to do better as far as stream promoting myself and letting you guys know what I'm planning on doing. I would, if you'd like, you could send me an email at gobuildsomethingmm@gmail.com, and if you had some suggestions or questions, you can email some questions there. And we could just, we could take these lives one at a time. Normally I would not want to commit to once a month because I would be afraid that I could not do that. But let's do that. Let's, as a group, decide that we're going to try, much like our model building Sunday, we will try and get together at least once a month, and we'll just have a discussion and go from there. And everyone in agreement, say aye. Aye. So other than that, unless there are other questions, I think we're going to call it right here. As usual, thank you for tuning in. Tell your friends. Like and subscribe. I am the Mediocre Modeler. And as always, have fun, be safe, and go build something. And we'll see you next time. Pew 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 pew.